But first, in the row between India and Canada continues to escalate. Canada is investigating what it calls credible evidence that the Indian government may be linked to the assassination of a Sikh activist in Canada earlier this year. India has dismissed the allegations, calling them absurd. However, this Tuesday expelled a senior Canadian diplomat and accused Ottawa of interfering in its internal affairs. This is what Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said earlier.
Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Any involvement of a foreign government in the killing of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil is an unacceptable violation of our sovereignty.
And joining me now is Professor Amalendu Misra, an international politics specialist from Lancaster University in the UK. Professor, thank you so much for your time. For many people outside of Canada and India, this row seemingly came out of the blue, but tensions have been building up for some time, haven't they, between these two nations?
Hi, good afternoon. Indeed. This can be traced back to the year 2019, almost 4 years, when the current government came to power. And if to understand the current dimension of the tension between Ottawa and New Delhi, we need to understand the relationship that the current Canadian government has with one particular segment of political party. Justin Trudeau's government is a minority government. It has an existential crisis in the sense that it has 157 MPs, members of parliament. It doesn't have a majority. And for that, it has to depend on one particular party, New Democratic Party, led by the Sikhs. And it has got 24 members of parliament. So what we have seen in the last 4 years is that the Canadian government has been somewhat supportive of this particular segment, the Sikhs, who want a separate homeland in India. And this hasn't gone down very well in New Delhi. And what we have seen over the last couple of years is growing Khalistani. That is the place of demand that the Sikhs have in an independent homeland in the Indian province of Punjab. And they have terrorized Indian diplomats in Canada. They have burned the effigy of one of the former prime ministers, Indira Gandhi. And they have also vandalized many Indian temples. And now, to top it all, what we have is the allegation from the Canadian side that the Indian agents have been involved in the killing of one of the key separatists, Mr. Nijjar, that you mentioned. He is a naturalized Canadian who was born in India but went to Canada some 20 years back.
And certainly India is also seeing itself these days as a major global player. And that is an important element in itself within this row, isn't it?
Well, we saw that during the G20 meetings in Delhi, when Canadian Prime Minister was present there, was given a cold shoulder. And in fact, I would say he was given a dressing down by the Indian Prime Minister, who sort of feels that he's a global leader. And he was told in no uncertain terms that Ottawa has to stop meddling in Indian internal affairs. So when Justin Trudeau is talking about India meddling in Canadian affairs, Indian side is saying the same thing, because we had a farmers' protest in India some 2 years back, and the Canadian government, for no reason, was saying that it supports the demands of the farmers. So this hasn't gone down very well, especially, as you have said, at a time when India sees itself as a global power and the fifth largest economy, and it doesn't want to be sort of given this sort of treatment by Canada. And to sort of provide a perspective here, India has also raised the similar concerns with United Kingdom, Australia, as well as United States, where many of these Sikh separatists have been terrorizing Indian communities, temples, and diplomats, and so on and so forth. So much so that we had an incident in Indian High Commissioner in London not so long ago, when Indian flag was torn down by these extremists.
So what is it going to take, Professor, to improve ties between these two countries?
Well, it is not going to sort of improve all of a sudden or anytime soon. As I said, there is a history. The government of Justin Trudeau is stuck between the devil and the deep blue sea. If it wants to remain in power, the Liberal Party wants to remain in power with the Sikh support, and it simply cannot stay in power without pandering to the demands of the Sikh separatists. So unless and until, and they have an agreement until the year 2025 to support each other. So once that is over, I would imagine that things will fall back into place. So it's just a matter of time and it will blow over.
Professor Misra, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.